In 2022, the big discussions were on inflation. How do we address inflation? Well, according to reports, that inflation is not going to be the problem in 2023. No, we are going to be discussing Social Security. The Social Security Administration, how to ensure that the Social Security Administration doesn't become insolvent, and address those issues moving forward. Well, that's good news, but we wished and we hoped lawmakers would actually address these issues back in 2022 or even now. Well, it's a little too late, but we will see what happens moving forward. Now, in this video, I want to discuss what the Social Security funding options that are actually being talked about. What are these? Well, again, many lawmakers have said that they're going to push for additional aid to Social Security as a whole. Not just for SSI, not just for SSDI, not just for the SSA, the Social Security Administration. They want to make sure everybody gets something. And that is part of the problem. Now, we are likely to see additional funding for the Social Security Administration. That is what they are expecting in 2023 because the Social Security Administration didn't get an increase for 2022. Now, here's what I can tell you. There are also 3 different bills on the table for the Social Security Expansion Act. These are the bills that would actually include $200 per month as an increase to all Social Security recipients. Remember, this was President Biden's campaign promise. He has yet to do anything, so he has 2 more years until it's all over. And the reason why I say it's all over, because there's a timeline. Now, President Biden is going to be president for sure for the next 2 years, possibly for the next 6. But for sure, if he doesn't get something done by 2024, the expectation is that people will not vote for him because of a major lie that he told, that he's going to increase Social Security benefits by $200 per month. And again, if you are on Social Security and you voted for President Biden, let me know down in the comment section below. Would you vote for him again if he doesn't pass this? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Now, here's the other thing. President Biden is adamant about getting additional benefits to Social Security recipients, and he wants to do that any way possible. However, he's also realistic, and he knows that there's no way to increase funding to beneficiaries without shoring up the program first, and that means increasing their income. How do we do that? Oh, here's what we know. This is actually something that is being discussed as of right now that is on the table for Republicans, but Republicans want something as well. President Biden wants to increase the payroll tax cap. Now, here's what it is right now. Currently, for 2023, the maximum salary subject to Social Security payroll taxes will be $160,200. This is up from $147,000 in 2022. However, this is what President Biden wants. President Biden would also like to make annual income above $400,000 subject to this tax. Now, here's where things get interesting. According to the estimates from the University of Maryland's Program of Public Consultation, they estimate that this increase to the payroll tax cap would eliminate 61% of the projected Social Security shortfall. Okay. Now, what does this mean? Well, if we increase the Social Security payroll tax all the way up to $160,200, which is what we're doing for 2023, and then there's a kind of a gap between 160 all the way to 400, and then over $400,000, then we see an additional tax. Guess what? This brings in some more revenue. This brings in a lot more revenue. And according to this survey, 88% of Democrats support this, and 79% of Republicans support this as well. Here's one thing I can tell you, though. This survey was likely targeted to Social Security recipients that obviously they are collecting the benefit. So obviously they want to increase this. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. You want a little bit more money every single month, and this just makes sense. But, and again, this is just part of the issue. This is something that both Republicans and Democrats want. However, Republicans have come out and said that, and this was, I think, earlier in 2022, that they would consider it. However, there's no proposal on the table, and they came out quietly. They didn't say who it was, but Republicans came out and said they'd consider it. But they wanted a proposal on the table first, and then they would attach other things to it. Never happened, so we'll see. The other thing that President Biden wants to do is change how COLA is calculated. Okay? Right now, the way it's calculated, so Biden wants to change the calculation method. In particular, he proposes replacing the CPI for urban wage earners and clerical workers, which is CPIW. He wants to do CPIE. This is index for the elderly. Okay? Now, using this inflation index could give Social Security recipients higher cost of living adjustments. That is pretty much what I've been saying for the past year. The cost of living adjustment is very skewed because it's going off the CPIW, not the CPIE. The CPIE is designed for people that are spending money that are 62 years of age and older. So for medications and things, and so the weight is skewed towards things that the elderly would purchase. Not drapes, not baby products, right? That's the way it's skewed. And so again, I don't want to get into that in today's video, but this is something that we got to look into because this is something that lawmakers say will be addressed in 2023. Here's my prediction. I could see lawmakers address this in 2023 and this be a bipartisan bill simply because as we see inflation go down, guess what? The CPIE is going to come down even further. So you want to see a very low cost of living adjustment for 2024, or if Democrats or Republicans want to see a 0% increase for 2024, that's one way to do it, is go off the CPIE, because that's going to come down even lower. So we will see what happens moving forward. Now, there was something that was introduced as well, okay, but ultimately it didn't make it into the bill, the government funding bill, and this was the asset limit update for supplemental Social Security or supplemental security income. We learned that Senator Sherrod Brown and Republican Rob Portman, okay, they were the two senators that have been proposing this, I believe, since like May of this year. But they wanted to raise the asset limit for beneficiaries to $10,000 for individuals, $20,000 for couples. The problem is currently it is $3,000 for couples and it's only $2,000 for individuals. One of the things right now is people are saying it imposes a marriage penalty on beneficiaries. So obviously that isn't good either. But that was something that was discussed. However, it was not included. It wasn't included at all. So that is part of the problem there. Now, one thing I can tell you is that Senator Rob Portman, he is retiring at the end of this year, which means that he was the only Republican that was pushing to get the asset limit changed. However, it's uncertain whether another Republican will step in Rob Portman's place and provide the change that is needed. So we will see what happens there. And something else that was discussed but it wasn't changed was the earned income tax credit. What we heard from many lawmakers was if we can't give senior citizens, we can't give the elderly, can't give individuals more money, then what we could do is give them a larger tax credit, right? Well, that was discussed. Democrats were able to get this expanded in 2021. However, that ultimately expired. Now, many Democrats wanted to see it included in 2022. Didn't get done. It was not pushed into the 2023 fiscal year budget. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But what it did do is it talked about raising the income limit to qualify. It, according to one report, this gave Americans an additional $12 billion in credits. And again, this was discussed, but it was ultimately pulled from the bill. And again, lawmakers are going to continue to push for this in 2023. But as some are saying, it might not happen until we discuss the next government funding bill, which probably won't be until August and September of this year. So we'll see what happens as we get closer. Here's something else. Here's another thing that was proposed, but ultimately this was cut because, well, let me just show you really quick. Okay, let me show you what was being discussed. Social Security program funding. Okay, this is what was discussed. It says the year-end deal provides additional funding for the Social Security Administration, but barely enough to tread water. The deal included a 6% increase, or $785 million, over the agency's 2022 funding level. President Biden requested 11% increase, or $1.4 billion. The House and Senate committees had also backed more funding for the agency. However, the additional funding could have helped the Social Security Administration reduce its backlog and long waits for service by updating its technology systems and hire new staff. Okay. However, the Social Security Administration is going to have to wait. The reports that we are hearing is that this is going to be one of those things that will not be touched again until the government funding bill for 2024. That's fiscal year 2024. If things are so contentious within Congress come, July, August, September, my guess is we're not going to see a fiscal year omnibus bill. We're going to see a stopgap bill that will get us into most likely December. Maybe it'll probably just be December. But then at that point, who knows if they do another short-term stopgap bill to take us into January or February. My guess is they don't. They pass something, but we'll see. However, this increase is going to be tied to that. So it's not good news what we're hearing as of today, but there is more funding for Social Security being discussed, and there's somewhat of a timeline there. So I will try to break all that down later on once we get more information. But as of right now, the discussions are being had. The issue is we're not finding anything that we can make a deal on. So we will see what happens moving forward. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates again. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.